Dan, what's the unsexy reality of running a business?
I'm actually really passionate about this topic, and I don't think it's spoken about enough because the unsexy reality of running a business isn't like what it looks like on social media. I think on social media, everything is portrayed to be a lot easier and to happen a lot quicker than it actually does. And the unsexy reality of starting a business is it literally takes years of consistently doing the right things, making mistakes, trying to figure out stuff to have any level of success. And that's what we've discovered.
But why on social media then and online and what you hear about? Why is because it seems exciting and good and loads of people earning loads of money and stuff. So why would that be the case if that isn't the reality?
It's the classic, and we're all guilty of this, the classic using social media to show your highlight reel. Like you handpick all the best bits and then communicate that on social media. And I guess these kind of unicorn businesses that have, in their first year turned over £600,000 or grown from 1 to 10 employees in 3 months, those stories are exciting to read and lots of people will engage with them. And then they get a lot of awareness and exposure. And then to the normal business owner, it looks like, oh my God, everyone's doing that. When really it's because they're the exciting stories. What wouldn't be exciting is John, the plumber, who spent 3 years on his own trying to grow his business, not really growing it, and then eventually taking on Stuart, the apprentice, in year 7 and earning an okay amount. And
I suppose, I wouldn't have been, so back in 2016 or whatever, I wouldn't have been posting online. Just missed the bus to work because I can't afford to run a car. Now I'm going to sit in a little room with my brother and probably argue quite a bit and not really do much good work because I'm still learning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The funny thing now, though, that with social media is it's kind of flipped on its head that, like, I don't know if you saw this week, the crying CEO post went viral. Did you see that? It's very recent.
Crying CEO?
Yeah, on LinkedIn, a CEO had to let his staff go and he did a selfie of him crying and did a post about it and it went viral. But the opposite now of being vulnerable and sharing all the shit bits is actually what people are now doing to get views and stuff, which is interesting.
Okay.
But
I was just going to say, is that genuine though?
Well, no, this is why it's gone viral, because lots of people are saying rather than trying to help his employees that he had to let go by like trying to get help, he's just talked about himself and how upset he is. And everyone's like,
yeah, that's what I
a bit of a dick move.
Yeah. It's like, look, I'm crying. I'm the victim here. But you've still got your job. Yeah. Obviously, if it was genuine and he's genuinely upset, like fair enough for showing emotions. I think that's good. I guess that's the hard thing sometimes with social media. On the other side, it's then the trying to get attention from the opposite of that rather than it being genuine.
Yeah, I think it's difficult because you don't know the intent behind it. So it's difficult to say he's a shit person because he could genuinely be upset and this could be his cry out for help, and he's got troubles that he needs help with, and also that like, a lot of people are saying the whole like men should show emotion, but this guy showed emotion, now everyone's slating him. But anyway, it's unknown what his intent was, but
I guess he was upset and he just thought, right, I better set the camera up, put it on a tripod, film myself, make sure this angle looks good, post it on LinkedIn.
There was a few good parodies of like talking about if he took the selfie of him crying, but it didn't quite look right. So he had to imagine him like deleting it and taking another selfie of him crying at a different angle. It'd be like, oh God. But yeah, anyway, he might genuinely be upset. But just to go back to what we're talking about, I just want to share some of the realities of our business because I posted about this on LinkedIn a while ago and it got a lot of great feedback of people saying like, oh, thanks for actually sharing the honest thing.
Yeah.
Because I think we share our highlight reel a lot and we now talk about, we work with some of the biggest brands in the world and we generate millions of pounds of track revenue for companies. But like Lloyd said, he couldn't afford to go to a networking meeting and had to get the bus there in 2016.
Yeah. I didn't post about it though.
Didn't post about it, but we're talking about it now.
Yeah, okay. We did win an award that year though. Which I found...
also I got a phone call from a very well-known marketeer who's had a huge business who wanted us to invest millions in his next project when we were turning over like 20 grand.
Yeah. Interesting.
But yeah, so the realities of running our business, this is just the cold, hard truth. So for the first 3 years of running our business, we were working from our parents' spare room and we didn't hire anyone. Our growth was fairly flat. If you look at it in the grand scheme of things, our revenue was fairly inconsistent.
Very inconsistent, I would say.
It was like a roller coaster pretty much, wasn't it? Lots of highs and lows.
Oh, yeah.
Well, mediums and lows.
Yeah.
We hadn't really figured out what our unique proposition was to the world. We did loads of stuff. We built websites. We created content. We did training. We did everything that anyone would want us to do to pay us, basically. And we didn't really have a marketing budget for what we were doing. So that was the first 3 years of running our business. Eventually, though, after those 3 years, we hired our first employee and then started to focus on delivering great work for our clients, and all those lessons we learned from doing some shit stuff for the first 3 years and making mistakes and some good stuff then helped us to start to hire a team and to get to where we are now, where now the highlight reel of we've got around 10 full-time employees, work with some of the biggest brands in the world, track millions of pounds of revenue from the ads we make. But it's been that shit 3 years, not shit 3 years. It was.
I suppose we should be clear as well that it's not like, oh, that was hard when we started and that was the reality, but now everything's perfect. Because the reality, I think, of any business is that there's good and bad things happening constantly. Like we, a couple of months ago, we lost a staff member that went off for a different job that I thought was really good and doing a great job. So obviously that's not a good thing to deal with. Yeah. And like we've currently got a client that just isn't responding to us when we're trying to do the work on the project. Like there's always things, I think, in every business that aren't going perfectly or challenging. And so I suppose I wouldn't want this episode as well to be like, oh, it used to be like that, but now we're perfect and one day you can be perfect. Because I think the reality is that constant balance, and there's always underperforming people and overperforming people, including me and you, Dan. Like sometimes we're underperforming, sometimes we're overperforming.
I'm mainly overperforming.
I'm mainly under. But yeah, I do think it's a constant thing and always will be. And I guess we will always talk more about the good stuff because I guess it makes sense to grow a business, and also it feels good because it would feel rubbish just constantly going, ha, this bad thing happened today.
But I do think the way that we're slightly different is we do try to be more honest as well. Like especially with this podcast, we do try and share the honest, no BS version of what's happening. And also on your point of all still having challenges, the interesting thing I think is we still have challenges as we've grown, but they're just different challenges. So like we're not now really struggling to survive, to bring in enough work to pay the bills. Whereas that was the biggest challenge when we started, like literally not, trying to get enough money for Lloyd's bus journey. That's not necessarily
just to point out, Dan had a car. Dan had a nice BMW. So I wasn't as in control of the finances at that point.
I saved up.
Don't know what happened there.
But no, it's just interesting how the challenges change, and I think I'm really interested to talk through in this episode some of those unsexy realities of running a business, because I think lots of people will relate. And from the feedback I got in that LinkedIn post, people were like, "Oh, this made me feel so much better about my business because I'm comparing it to the reality of what it's actually like to run a business rather than because I feel like us and our team here, I feel like we're smashing it. I'm really proud of our business. We're in a really good place. But at the same time, but I'm just to give context, at the same time of feeling like we're smashing it, there's these unsexy things going on and hard things going on as well. So it's not like if you're feeling, oh, I've got these challenges, like you're doing a terrible job. You might be. Yeah. But I think both can happen at the same time, can't they? You'd be challenges and things you got to try and resolve whilst doing a great job and doing brilliant work. Yeah. So to try and make the anchors feel better about themselves, Lloyd, what are some of your unsexy realities of running a business, or some of the things that you think like aren't talked about enough? Or
one thing that I think is fairly obvious, but just not being able to switch off as easily because it actually means something. Like, I think if you've got a job that you don't really care about, and it doesn't have any major implications, like you're not a doctor or something, people aren't going to die. It's easy to switch off as soon as you leave because that's like,
don't need to deal with that.
Done that. Don't need to deal with that. When you run a business, it is, even though I feel we are actually very good at this, it's still a real challenge to switch off. Like we still text each other in the evenings and weekends when randomly we're thinking about work stuff and things like that. And so I do think that is the reality that you're kind of signing up for, never fully being switched off from work.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd agree with that.
Yeah. I think what I also want to talk about at the end of this episode is the sexy realities of running a business, because we're going to say all this crap stuff, but we're still doing this, and we're doing this rather than being employed. So yes,
it's good to have that balance. I absolutely love what I do for work, and it's really good. But these are some of the challenges.
Because what made me think of that was, yes, it's very difficult to switch off, but I love building Knowlton, and I love thinking about it. Most of it, but there's probably
sad person.
No, I know that's sad, but I get a real thrill out of building this company, and there's definitely things that aren't enjoyable to think about at the weekend. But I'd say a lot of the things, like improvements we're making and content we're creating and new opportunities that are coming in, are really exciting. And I would like to talk to you about them to you at the weekend, which is probably annoying for you, but.
One more from me before we get to a couple from you is being responsible for people's salaries.
Yeah.
I think whether you're like the owner or you're a leader in the business, whatever, you get to the point where you're like, oh crap, like it's pretty much down to me to make sure that we can pay these people, and we don't, because obviously if they can't get paid and they lose their job, it really causes them big problems. And especially when you like the people you work with, that is a big pressure. And that's definitely a big unsexy part of it. The worry of like actions that I take are going to have an impact on people's lives now. And obviously most of the time it's like, I'm taking positive actions and I'm helping the business grow. And that means we're going to be able to give people pay rises and like that kind of thing. But obviously it's still the worry of like, shit, if I get something wrong here, this could be bad. I think a way to, I guess, counteract that, I now try and think of it as actually like that person is here to offer the value that's equal to what we're paying them. So it's a shared responsibility.
Of course.
The people that work for you have that responsibility. We just need to build around the processes and give them the tools to be able to provide that value to the business. So I used to think of it like, right, I'm responsible to make sure we can pay everyone. It's like, no, they're responsible to do good work.
It's a balance thing.
Yeah. So that gives it a bit of balance, I guess.
I think something else about hiring people, which I feel like is a challenge. It's probably more of a challenge for you because you're more CEO role that manages our team, but trying to strike the balance of like being friends with your team, and when there's decisions you need to make that like are difficult, or like I don't know, it's probably you more than me because I'm like the cool mate of all the team and everything, and Lloyd's like the annoying.
I'm not the cool mate.
But it was something that I remember Luke from Sleeping Giant Media said to us a while ago, that you get to a certain size and then you can't be best mates when you have to make decisions and stuff.
Yeah. I remember him saying that to me. It's like once you get past 5 or 6 people, there is a bit of a weird separation. Like you're not just a group of mates anymore. There is a bit of a separate, like they're mates and then you're there, which I kind of feel like sometimes. But I understand that, and you know, it's fine. And I'm really lucky. I really like everyone I work with. But I do think that, and that makes it very hard for difficult conversations. So if someone isn't performing well or something weird is going on with them at work, and you have to be like, come on, mate, stop doing that thing where you put Doritos in your armpits and then eating them in front of everyone.
Who does that?
Tay. Yeah, Taylor Fielder on LinkedIn. If you want to find them.
Do that weird armpit Dorito
I
thing.
love that I had to make up a weird thing in my head, and that was the first thing I thought of, putting Doritos in your armpits and eating them. That does make that harder, 100%. But again, the other side of it, when you're having good conversation, you're saying you're doing brilliant work and we want to pay you more, or like we want to promote you, or we've got this amazing project that we want you to take the lead on. That's the other side of it, I guess.
Yeah. I think that still the main sort of unsexy part of running a business for me is reinforcing what I said at the start, is that it takes way longer than you initially think to have the level of success that you're expecting.
Yeah.
And I really want to hit this point home that I think any business owner out there, if you're 3 years in and you haven't taken over the world and you're just about doing all right, that is better than a lot of business people, because most businesses fail in the first 3 years. So, and I struggle with this at the start, because I would compare myself to these agencies that had just started and they were hiring 50 people, and it's like, oh, why are we not bringing enough business to hire 50 people in the first year? But they obviously, some of these are on a different sort of trajectory of taking investment and hiring all those people and then hoping to win the business to pay the people, which we've taken more of an organic growth route of actually winning the business and then hiring in that way. But it's difficult to not compare yourself to all of these things you see on social media. But when you understand this, and when you understand that that is the highlight reel, and those unicorns are the 0.001%, you can start to feel a bit better at yourself that I am doing all right.
Those massive success stories are they're in the minority. And then, so you're seeing that like 0.1% at the top that you're comparing yourself to. And then there's like the 80% in the middle, like this massive chunk of businesses that you just don't see anything of.
Yeah.
So like the agency that's equivalent to us in Northampton, that's like just hired its 12th person and they've been going 8 years or something.
Yeah.
And there's loads of those that actually, if we compared, we go, oh, actually we've done slightly better than them.
Yeah.
We're doing better in this, but we need to improve on that thing, because but you don't actually compare with similar businesses. It's always with the best, and you're thinking, why can't we be the best? There's a cleaning company that's just started and they've got these shiny big vans and they've got 6 employees, and you're thinking, I've been working this area for 5 years and it's only me. I think that's always going to be the comparison.
Something else that from a sales perspective, I'm responsible for generating the sales that brings in the business that pays everyone's wages. As the business grows and your outgoings get higher, the sales goals grow. So you have to figure out new, better, innovative ways to bring in more business, because what you did before wasn't good enough. So when it was just you and I, and we needed a couple of projects every now and again to being 10, 11, 12 people, and it's like, we need constant new business coming in every week to pay these wages.
That's the unsexy reality of growth in a business, isn't it? That if you do really well at growing, in a month's time, what you were doing isn't good enough anymore. So it's a constant like, oh, look how well I've done. Okay, we'll hire a couple more people because we're bigger now. Then it's like, oh, by the way, it all has to be better than what it was when you were saying it was really good.
And we've made these, again, to be transparent, we've made these mistakes through our journey of getting loads of new business in, hiring loads of people, and then not necessarily having the processes in place to bring in enough business to keep that many people. It's like a constant challenge to do that.
Yeah. It is.
But yeah, I think there's a lot to think about when you're growing a business, and hopefully these are some of the kind of unsexy realities. But what about the sexy realities, Lloyd? Can
I give you one more unsexy thing?
Go on then.
Just because I'm more of an unsexy person.
Go on then.
I would say as you grow a business, people want more of your time all the time. So like when it's just me and you, say we started out me and you and we got 3 customers, right? There's a maximum of 4 people that will ever want to speak to me. So it's like, that's fine. I've got loads of time to do that.
Yeah.
I think as we grow and our team grows, then we've got everyone in the room that might want a bit of your time to speak to you about stuff and ask you things and have meetings. You've got all of the clients, there's probably about 20 different clients we're working with in some way at the moment that at any point someone from those might want to speak to you or have a meeting tomorrow about something.
That's a lot of time added up.
Yeah. And then there's suppliers that we use or freelancers we're working with. And so I think it gets harder and harder when you're running a business, because lots of people may want your time. And I think what I've learned is to try and communicate clearly and try and set some boundaries. So I guess some people might think I'm quite too firm or harsh, but with clients, I try and set firm boundaries of like, if they're saying, oh, I need to meet you right now, if I've got something important I need to do, I will sort of say, I can meet you at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. I think previously would have been scared to do that. Why are you smiling so much?
I'm only smiling because I'm the opposite of that, and I'll just answer the phone call and have 3-hour phone calls talking about their weekend and stuff, and I'm rubbish at this and you're much better.
I would say I am better at setting these boundaries. But, and also with the team, like there's some times when I know I've just got a crazy day. So I will say to the guys like, oh, like this afternoon, I will kind of have my head down and stuff. And I want to be approachable, but I guess communicating so people know like, oh, this is a really important thing. So I am going to interrupt Lloyd because he's busy, but it's really important. Or if I say like, oh, they've got a lot going on at this point in the day, they might be like, oh, I'll actually speak to Lloyd about that tomorrow because I know at the moment he's got loads going on. But and that helps. But you don't have an infinite amount of time. So
no,
and I imagine like I'm experiencing this with a business of this size.
Imagine if you had 100 employees.
10 times bigger. I imagine that's really tricky.
Can I finish the unsexy part by just sharing some of the data that I looked back at our journey that I think may be interesting?
Share some unsexy data with us.
In terms of our like turnover and stuff. So I looked back through the archive of Excel spreadsheets that didn't have much data on them because we weren't earning much. But I looked back at 2015 and what we were turning over. So in 2015, when we started the business, it was Lloyd and I working in the company. So for year one, I don't know if you've seen this number already. I was going to ask you what you think it is. Do you know what this is? What we turned over?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay, all right. Well, in year one, imagine we got to pay both of our wages, all the costs of running a business. We turned over 23,118. So
and that's why I was getting the bus.
Yeah. And that was turnover. Profit, we didn't even work out profit.
This is one of the, like, we're sharing the like shit things. We realised like over a year in that we weren't really looking at if we were making a profit or a loss. We were just kind of trying to survive. But we kind of at one point were like, so we turned over that much. Yeah. And I don't know whether one of us asked the other one or like Dad asked us or something like, so have you made a profit?
What's profit?
I'm just kind of like, oh, I don't know actually. No, probably not.
And we also didn't look at any costs in the first year.
We were just looking at how much money was coming in, but didn't look at any money going out. So
absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, that was.
So year one, we turned over £23,118. It took us until the 18th of September 2018, so that's 3 years past that, to be in a position where we were earning enough to pay ourselves properly and to make our first hire, which was our cousin. I look back at a Facebook post from 2018 and it was the picture of us with our cousin, like, oh, we've hired our first person. Yeah. So it took us that long to be able to feel comfortable enough that, we've got just about enough money coming in so that we feel all right. Now let's bring on the...
And we didn't have the trust, I guess, in ourselves or the business to hire someone we didn't know. I don't know if you can take your mind back to that, Dan, but it's kind of like, well, we can't... I mean, and again, this shouldn't be done, by the way. When you employ people, you're supposed to go through the official processes. But I remember thinking like, well, we can't bring someone we don't know into this.
Yeah,
because we don't even calculate how much profit we make or how much.
Let's just bring our cousin in.
Yeah, it's kind of like, if we bring someone we know, that feels more comfortable at this point. But yeah, that was so 3 years in when we hired someone. It's nice to feel how far we've come. Now we've got our studios and our office and the team of amazing people. Yeah. It is nice to reflect on that. But yeah, it took time, didn't it?
And that's what, to get to this point. So now we're in 2022, around 10 full-time staff. We've now worked with some of the biggest brands in the world. And we also this year have doubled our profits. And we just did an episode 106 or 107, that talked through how we doubled our profits. But yeah, it's taken that journey to get to where we are now. So it has been an absolute roller coaster, and that's a bit of the unsexy part. Should we go on to the
sexy?
Yeah, because I think it's important for us to have a balanced view, because it's not just all unsexy. Like, we're still here running this business. Why don't we just go and get employed somewhere? Because we both could get paid a lot more to go and get employed somewhere, I reckon.
Yeah, probably.
Because we don't,
but
pay ourselves well
there's
enough.
sexy stuff, right?
Go on, what's your sexy stuff, Lloyd? Why do you like
my sexy stuff?
What's good about running a business?
My wife would tell you that my sexy stuff is the flexibility with time. Yeah, that's one thing. Just feeling like you do have flexibility. But a more important thing for me, I get really excited about. I sound sad like you did earlier. Like, being able to build a team around you. I feel like we can achieve things that there's no way I could have achieved on my own, because we've and it feels like building an extension of you, and so now we've got like this gear and great people and stuff, and it's like, as a group of people, we can achieve really cool things and do really great work that I could never have done
when
on
you
my
were
own.
using Cyberlink Pro to edit your videos and had like a crappy DSLR.
Yeah, that didn't even shoot in HD. It wasn't 1080p.
And customers paid us for those videos.
Yes, they did. They didn't pay us much, but they paid us. So that's a massive thing for me, and it feels like kind of infinite potential, I guess. If you think of what you could do on your own, there's always going to be a limit, like a hard limit of, this is how much time I have, these are the skills that I have the time to develop. But with building a business, it feels infinite for the potential, and that's exciting to me.
Yeah.
And sexy. Ooh.
That is sexy. I think my most sexy part, or the thing that I love the most about this, is the fulfillment I get from feeling like I'm building something that's having an impact. Like, I don't know, to come into work and feel like we're creating content and running campaigns and helping brands and building and hiring people and paying for their livelihoods. And I feel like that feeling of feeling like you're having an impact, a positive impact. And, like, our whole focus of our positive impact plan is to ensure we're doing that. So, that's
one of mine, actually, like supporting people to progress in their careers and stuff. That feels really good, being able to be a part of that. And obviously, like, we won't get it exactly right every time, but I do feel like we're managing to put people in positions where they can really develop, and they might be with us for the next 20 years, or they might be with us for the next 6 months, but like helping them improve and learn and stuff. I think
I get a
really
good
cool
feeling seeing them do good stuff, which I never thought I would have. But like when you see people doing good stuff and you're like, that was really good. Yeah. Any other sexy parts of running a business, Lloyd?
Well, I don't really want to describe it as sexy, but working with you is being able to work with my brother is a good part.
Yes.
I don't really want to think of it as sexy in any way. But having that freedom, like, it would be very lucky if we found an employer that was like, yeah, we'll hire you and your brother, you weirdos. So yeah, that's brilliant for me.
I think we would never be able to spend this much time together.
No. Well, our bosses would find it weird, wouldn't they? Like, why is your brother here again?
Yeah.
He works somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that's really good. And I think outside of that, like, where we have control over who we hire, it's being able to work with nice people. Like, if you're employed by someone else and someone else doing the hiring,
you could be working with the right knobhead.
Yeah. But actually having control and then coming into work like, oh, I like these people in this room. This is good.
Yeah.
I think is something that I don't really think about until I was reflecting on what's really good about running your own business. Like, if someone's horrible and an absolute dickhead, like, we do have the ability to be like, can you stop coming here now, please? Because it's making it not nice for everyone.
Yeah. Nice.
Any more sexy things?
Just a couple more for me. I love the feeling of when a new client puts their trust in us and says they want to work with us. Get a right big dopamine hit off of that. All the hard work.
What you're going to say then? Get a right big dopamine hit
of pitching and all the work that goes into that, and then convincing them, you should work with us, and then they choose to work with us. That's really good. Also, getting the feedback from clients when they say really nice things about our work.
That always feels good, doesn't it? Or if they're like, "Oh, your team are so good."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, they are."
Yeah. So I think there's lots of good things. I think that's why we are still doing this and still get a lot of enjoyment out of doing it. But at the same time, I'm glad we've shared that unsexy stuff, because hopefully people will relate to that. And if you're, like I said, in the third year of running your business and just getting by, then you're like most other businesses. So don't feel bad.
Don't be too harsh on yourself. There will be sexiness to balance the unsexiness.
Yeah. So that's it, really. If you've enjoyed this episode, please do tell people about Business Anchors. Can you please do a post on social media and talk about it and share it with your friends? It helps more people listen to the podcast, and hopefully it's useful and, spreads love.
Yeah. Are you going to announce the competition?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I forgot about that. Yes. So
it was weird because you literally said we need to do this, and then you acted like you didn't know what we're talking about.
Exciting. This is the most exciting part of the episode.
Yeah, you clearly are excited.
Yes.
Yeah, you totally remembered.
Our wonderful sponsor of the podcast, Adobe Express, are giving away 1 year's premium access to Adobe Express. And I want to share with you how you can enter that competition in a minute. Before we do that, Lloyd has come up with a really creative way to communicate some of the things we love about Adobe Express. So sophisticated, yeah. We tasked Lloyd with coming up with something creative to talk about what he likes about Adobe Express. And go on, Lloyd, tell us how you're going to do this.
So what I've done, when you're at primary school and every autumn, I feel like it was, they made you write autumn down the side of a piece of paper, and then you write a poem where you start with A, U, T, U. Do you know what those poems are called?
Oh, no. Do you know what they're called?
No. So I've done one of those for Adobe Express. Okay.
This
you
is
ready?
How sophisticated are.
Are you ready for my performance?
Yeah, go on. So exciting. Yeah, go on.
Adobe Express. Dan, what do you think of it?
It's great.
Oh, before you answer, I've got a few reasons to try it. Bring your content to life with animations. Easy to create and share. Easy to collaborate with colleagues through shared templates and files. X-rays are weird, right? Probably should get back to Adobe Express, though. Royalty-free photos. Every font you could ever need. Standout photo effects to be applied in seconds. Seriously, you should give Adobe Express a go.
Oh, you are so immature.
Is that a good poem, or was that a good poem?
That's brilliant. X-rays are weird, aren't they?
I have to say, yeah, I struggled with the X. But I don't think anyone noticed.
So hopefully you enjoyed that, which segues nicely onto how you can win a 1 year premium subscription of Adobe Express, which is simply by commenting on this video. And we will randomly pick. I know that, like, Lloyd, don't look at me like that.
What if they listen to the podcast?
Listen to me. Listen, okay. I haven't finished yet.
Okay.
Listeners of the podcast, we post video clips of these across our social media on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, any of those places. Just comment underneath this video. You can say whatever you like, and we will randomly pick someone from the comments to win that 1 year subscription. So is that all right, Lloyd?
That's all right. I was just thinking X-rays are weird, right?
Yes, they are weird.
Yeah.
Don't know what happened there. Why did we both go silent?
I thought we'd finished.
Oh, okay.
Are we?
No, we usually finish with see you in your ears next week.
So now we finished?
Done.